Hi everybody and welcome back to Tales of Wanderlust. I'm Cass and today we're going to do another episode of cooking in an Airstream. This time though, I'm going to show you how to make a cup of coffee. This has been the method I've used since living in the back of my 4Runner and now here in the base camp. So if you want to see how easy it is to make coffee on the go, then stay tuned. Alright, so let's jump right into how to make a cup of coffee. This is a really quick and easy process, so this is not going to be a very long video. I have water on the stove. It is boiling. As you can see, the steam is coming out of it. So that's really step one, and it's one of the longer steps of this process. So now that we have hot water, I have my Brew Buddy, which is how I brew the coffee, and then I have my Yeti tumbler. So to give you an idea of what the Brew Buddy is, it's just this plastic rim that lets you hang the netting right into the mug. So it's almost like a tea bag on the bottom here. So you can put the coffee into it, rest it into the mug, and also pour some water over it. So it's almost like a mix of steeping the coffee as well as pour over method. I do think it actually makes a really good cup of coffee, and it is also very convenient. The nice thing about the Brew Buddy is the filter can just be pushed right up into it. So it's flat, it's very lightweight, it's easy to pack up. I just store it right here in one of my baskets in the kitchen. I've also traveled with it. That way I know if I have my mug and a way to make hot water, I can make coffee in the morning, which is really important to me. When I lived out of the back of the 4Runner, I did also use this method, and instead of using a nice stove in the RV, what I used instead was just a backpacking stove, boiled up my water that way, and then used the same items. Now, I don't know if the way I make coffee with the Brew Buddy is the official way according to the instructions. It's just how I've adapted it over the years of making coffee my way. And after 3 years, I find that this makes the best cup of coffee. So how I use it is I take my mug, or whatever I'm using, and I fill it about 3/4 of the way with hot water. Then what I do is I take my Brew Buddy, I just rest it right on top of the mug, and I pour my coffee into the top of it. Being in Colorado, I found a Rocky Mountain Thunder brew, which is pretty good. So if there's local coffee around, I do really enjoy trying out the local coffee. So I just fill the mug up to the top, so there's a little bit of room in there for the water, but for the most part, that's how I measure my coffee. I don't really use a scoop or anything, I just use the Brew Buddy to measure it. Once the coffee is there, I take the hot water from the pot again and I pour it right over the coffee grounds. If you pour too fast, it will start overflowing and it will make a big mess. So you kind of want to fill it up to the point where it's at the ridge, let it start settling down, soaking through, and then pour more. You'll get the feel of how much you need to add until you get to the top. I usually do about 2-3 rounds of this. I usually let it steep for about 5 minutes. Sometimes I will forget it is sitting here and I'll jump into a meeting or I'll take Jasper out for a walk and then I come back to a very strong cup of coffee. So if you want it a little lighter, then you can go for less time. If you want it really dark, leave it longer and really let it absorb that flavor. And then we'll come back, check on it, and see how the coffee is. So since we need to wait a few minutes to let the coffee steep, I decided we would come and hang out with Jasper. Napoleon is hiding behind me in his bed, passed out, so we're not going to say hi to him, otherwise he might get really upset. Hi, big guy. Time to check on that coffee. All right, it's been about 5 minutes, so we're going to say the coffee is done. So all I do is I take the filter out of the coffee, I let it drain a little bit, and then I put it right into the sink, and I let it sit there and drain and fully dry out. The nice thing about the Brew Buddy is when I leave it in the sink like that and I let it just drain and dry, in a couple of hours I can take it and throw the grounds right in the garbage. And then a slight rinse, or even on days where it's not that dirty, if you don't want to rinse it, I just take it and I rest it right into this mug when I'm done drinking the coffee so that it can completely dry. So it's also really easy to clean and it doesn't take much water to maintain the whole system. So for living in an RV and trying to boondock and save water, it really is the best setup I have found so far. So that's it. That's really all it takes to make a really good cup of coffee on the road. If you have a different method of how to make coffee, I would love to hear it. So feel free to comment below. Let us all know what your tips and tricks are for making coffee. So thanks everybody for tuning in, watching this video, and we'll see you next time.